You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna wonder to yourself, why wasn't this taught in school? Today, let's talk about one of the most awe-inspiring groups I have ever come across and learned about, the Lakota tribe. When I tell you they were done dirty, I'm telling you it is disgusting. Let's dive into it. So the Lakota territory encompassed the larger portion of the northern Great Plains. You can see it here. You might recognize names of some of the more notable members. You have Sitting Bull, Black Elk. Black Elk Speaks, incredible book. Crazy Horse, and that's just to name a few. But the Lakota were nomadic hunters. They would move across the Great Plains and sync with the buffalo herds. They lived in teepees, had an incredibly strong community structure. Loyalty to the community was everything. And the most sacred spot on earth for them is called the Black Hills. I want you to remember this. This is very important. The Black Hills are incredibly important to their origin story. They believe it is the center of the universe and it's where their people came from. It is an incredibly sacred site where they would experience the gods, they would bury their dead, they would hold ceremonies. So much of their cultural identity is tied to this. There are so many incredible books that I highly recommend you read. Lakota Way, mind-blowing. Black Elk Speaks, mind-blowing. My People by Luther Standing Bear. The list goes on and on. What's fascinating is when you read these histories, you constantly hear about the yellow metal that drove white men crazy. And as settlers would push out, their land continued to be more and more encroached upon. But the thing is, they didn't view it as their land. They had literally no concept of land ownership. How can you own the land? So the government would come in and they would make these treaties. These areas are ours, you need to go to those areas. And if we do that, we won't fight. The treaties were always broken. And not a single treaty was ever broken by the Lakota. Here's the thing, the Lakota are incredible fighters. That's not just the men, it was the women too. There were many battles where the US suffered heavy losses. So the government would get all the chiefs together, they would sign a new treaty. The one thing the Lakota said in every treaty was, do not touch the Black Hills. That is sacred to us. And the government's like, yeah, we won't touch the Black Hills, you can have it, it's yours. Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard of the Wounded Knee Massacre, 500 soldiers came upon the Lakota. It was about 350 men, women, and children. Tensions were high at this time because there was a widespread movement called the Ghost Dance Movement. You can learn about it in Black Elk Speaks. It was a spiritual thing. Soldiers ordered the men to surrender their weapons. Scuffle broke out and the soldiers started firing. They killed 90% of the men, women, and children. The survivors said they have never seen grown men shoot women and children in the back as they were running away for safety. They would talk about how literally, even in war, there are lines you don't cross. And they never did. I want to talk about two treaties that were signed. In 1851, there was the Fort Laramie Treaty. Well, in 1851, there was the Fort Laramie Treaty where the U.S. recognized the Lakota territory. The issue is settlers kept going west and they didn't care, and the government did nothing to enforce it. So fights broke out. In 1868, there was another Fort Laramie Treaty. And in this treaty, it guaranteed the Black Hills to the Lakota in perpetuity. They were literally promised that no white person or person shall be permitted to settle upon or occupy those lands. But then gold was discovered. So in 1874, General George Custer led an expedition and he confirmed that gold was there. This sparked a mad gold rush. The US government tried to buy the Black Hills from the Lakota and the Lakota were like, what the hell? It's not for sale. This is our spiritual land. The government was like, yeah, but gold. So the government was like, well, if you don't sell it to us, we'll just violate the treaty. This is the Black Hills. Beautiful, right? You want to know what we did to it? This is also the Black Hills. Like, what the hell? Bet you didn't know that about Mount Rushmore. Take the most sacred place, a place where people literally communicated with God. A beautiful area literally designed by divinity, and we carved egoic faces into it. Bet you didn't know that. Oh, by the way, in 1980, the Supreme Court ruled that what happened to the Lakota was unjust, that land had been taken illegally, and so they were awarded financial compensation, which they replied, we don't want the money. We've never wanted the money. We want that land. It's our sacred land. But funny, when we talk about Mount Rushmore in schools, we never bring up the history behind it. They were right about everything they said, especially the yellow metal that drives people to go crazy. Oh, and if you're interested, you should go read the story of the White Buffalo Calf Woman, because within that story, there was a prophecy that she would come back and bring back harmony, balance, and peace, spirituality. And literally, a white buffalo was just born recently, fulfilling the Lakota prophecy. And I am looking forward to her bringing back harmony, balance, peace, spirituality, because we need it.